And the truth is that if you don't grow, and as you grow, buy back the time, the reality is you're never going to be able to play the game long enough.
What's going on, guys? I'm super excited to introduce you guys, if you do not already know this fine young gentleman with me. His name is Dan Martell, a good buddy of mine, fellow Canadian, rocking the somewhat splinter cast, which we'll talk about in a second. But special treat for you guys, because we typically don't bring on amazing entrepreneurs outside the health space onto the show. But today you guys are in for a treat. So I've known Dan for a number of years. He's a serial entrepreneur who's built several multi-million-dollar technology companies, starting at just 17 years old. He's also an award-winning angel investor, having invested in companies like Elkaim, which we use, Udemy, Hootsuite, Unbounce. And today, he is the coach that SaaS founders go to for coaching to help them grow their businesses. He's worked with companies like ClickFunnels.com, Proposify.com, Carrot.com, and many, many others. If you're using a technology or a SaaS platform, chances are Dan has had some input at it at some place. So Dan Martell, welcome to the Healthpreneur Show.
Yuri, thanks for having me, man. I may not be a health professional, but doggone it, I use them a lot right now. So I got some opinions.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, dude. Like you may not be a health professional, but you live health. Like if you guys don't follow Dan on Instagram, make sure you follow Dan Martell on Instagram. And talk to me, I'd love to start off, we'll get into the injury in just a second, but talk to me about how you document everything you do on Instagram. Why do you do that? Why do you think, is that something you just feel like you enjoy doing, or do you feel that it's inspiring for your audience to kind of take that journey with you? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I think two reasons. One, I have a core principle that I teach everything I know, and I'm still growing and learning and on that journey. So as I learn stuff, things I'm reading in a book, screenshot a book, a thing I'm thinking about, a quote, a conversation I have with somebody. And then, so that's on the business side. I run several, 8-figure companies today. I have the coaching business. I have a bunch of technology investment. I just bought another company that I announced a couple of weeks ago in a software company. So I'm in the thick of things. I'm a builder, I'm an operator. And there's just so much to continue to learn. So I share as much as I can. I share all my meetings. It's kind of bananas. Sometimes my dad's like, why do you do that? And I'm like, look, when I was starting off, I grew up in a small town, 80,000 people, and I didn't know anybody successful, right? I love my dad, I love my parents, but there was no example. And then as I kind of got to meet my first mentor, right, when I was 23, and got to go to an event and meet other people like me, it was just crazy. I remember when I was 28, I moved to San Francisco after scaling and exiting my first technology company in Canada. And it was like I came home to the motherland. I mean, it was, everybody had a laptop, a Mac laptop, copy shop, and on it either had code or a pitch deck. It was, I don't know. I just realized that I learn best through osmosis. I like to be inspired. So it's almost and then, so the one part is I teach everything I know. And then the second part is that it's a great forcing function for me to hold myself accountable. Right. So I did a thing called 75 Hard about a year ago. About 9 months ago, I did the first phase, or the 75 Hard part. And look, the reality of it is, as a coach, as somebody that shares their life online, unless you're a schizophrenic or a sociopath, you can't say something and then not do it. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a beautiful, positive peer pressure commitment to excellence. And look, it's for real. What's great about the injury, which I know we'll talk, I'll wait till we talk about it. I'll tell you what's great about it. But that's why I share everything on the internet.
Yeah, it's awesome too. And I think you probably have a lot of followers who are not even in tech, who just get inspired.
90%.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's, guys, just follow them, and just you do such a good job of you live a good life. You've got cool stuff, which we can talk about as well. And I don't think that ever comes across.
And the crazy part, Yuri, I'm going to tell you in the audience, I only share half of it. Yeah, I'm a humble Canadian, so I don't even flex. If you think that's flexing, And I don't mean to brag, but it's just true. Like I only share the half of it because half the shit I forget to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel a commitment to my mentors, the people that have taught me to just pay it forward. And that's the literally cost me nothing. And that's the beauty of these one-to-many kind of like mediums, right? Podcasts, YouTube channel, even the YouTube channel. It's like I could sit down and mentor one individual, or I could take the exact same time, shoot 3 videos, put it on YouTube, and thousands of people can be, impacted by it. And that's just the decision I made, is just leverage the medium to have a bigger impact.
Totally. And then when they have that question, here's the video. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of sneaky. I always thought that emails were where words went to die. So that's why I started doing the YouTube, because I was sick of answering the same questions, and I figured the YouTube was, and so honestly, 90% of the things people ask me, Facebook, social media, whatever, email, I have a video for it, which is kind of fun.
It's like the public playbook.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I know anyone else in my life who is as, I don't even know what the word is, to be honest, but you are surrounded by some amazing people. You love building teams. You love getting stuff off your plate that has no business in your, 24 inches, if you will. How did you get to that point where so many entrepreneurs have a challenge with, oh, no one can do it as good as me, or I don't want to relinquish control? Did you ever deal with that? And if so, how did you get through that to the point now where you don't even check your mail? Like, you haven't checked your mail for what, like 10 years? Something?
Decade, 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a journey. Like, just people need to make sure they can't measure my chapter 27 to their chapter 2. Like, I just want people to understand, like, I had 2 failed startups. I just started at 17 and then did the next one at 20. And then finally at 24, I got a coach and a mentor, and things change, right? But everything around, like, nobody can do this as good as me, I'm going to hold on to that. Okay, maybe I'll give my mail up, right? That still took a decade. So, like, to go from that to where today I truly only do the things that bring me joy, create incredible leverage and wealth, because that's the kind of the way I measure my productivity. That has literally been my whole, and I call it entrepreneurial years, right? I've been doing this since 17. I'm 41. That's 24 years. Dude, that's a long time, man. I almost is that right? Man, I'm old. That's crazy. 24 years of building companies. Next year is 25.
You're young in the way you live.
I know, but that just got me really excited. So a lot of people need to understand is their entrepreneurial age is that. So I'm 24 in my entrepreneurial age. I'm old in the sense of entrepreneur. Some people might only have 6 years, right? So understand it's a journey. How did I overcome it? Man, trial and error. I'm a software guy, so my background is systems, and so a lot of this stuff just felt right, and then I just kept bumping my head against the ceiling, right? I call it the ceiling of complexity. Great little story. My buddy Chad, love the guy. He runs a retail shop for adventure sports gear. He's the guy I bought my snow bike from. If you don't know what a snow bike is, Google it. It's awesome. Chad got pissed off at me for texting him at 6 a.m. because it woke him up. I said, Chad, why don't you put your phone on silence like any normal human being? He goes, I can't, because I need to be available in case the alarm goes off at the shop. Why do you need to have dude, I have somebody monitors my houses. Like, nobody's calling me. He goes, oh, it's just not the way it works. And again, ceiling of complexity. Chad's ceiling of complexity is his inability to even question the fact that maybe he should be the person that the alarm texts or calls when it goes off, right? And we all have that. So I hit my ceiling of complexity several hundred times throughout this journey. I just was willing to investigate it. Whereas I think some people just decide that's how it is. I didn't have an assistant for a long time. And I remember waking up and going to the office on a Sunday morning and going, I'm the CEO of at the time, $1 million business. I can't imagine the CEO of the insurance company, which we all know in the city of Moncton, called MetaV or Blue Cross. That guy can't check all of his mail that comes to his business. So I cold emailed him and I asked him, I was like, how do you manage all you know how stupid I must have sounded, Yuri? I was like 25 at the time. I email him and I go, his name is Denis. I was just like, hey, monsieur, in French, because I'm French. And I just asked him, like, how do you deal with all the inbound mail that comes in? And he goes, my assistant deals with that.
And you're like, what's that?
Yeah, I was like, oh, so you know what? I didn't even hire an assistant. I found a book called Managing Up. It was Jack Welch's assistant that wrote it. Awesome book, really cool book. I think her name's Barbara or Dawn or something. And that like opened my eyes to it. So if anything, I've faced all those things. I've just become a fast learner and be willing to go through what I call the ATF loop, the audit, transfer, fill loop of getting things off your plate. And I just believe, 80% done by somebody else is 100% freaking awesome. And the more we can do that, so we can play in our zone of genius. See, most people make the mistake of hiring folks to do stuff to add capacity to their business. I need to hire a customer support person. I need a front desk person. I need a this person. The truth is I don't know if you do, but if you instead hire people to buy back time out of your calendar, then all of a sudden you'll create the space to do more valuable work so that the $10 tasks get done by somebody else, right? The mistake people make when they hire folks is, if they're a physician, is they'll go hire another physician. But they could do that work, get paid $100 an hour for that work, and stop doing the $10 stuff. And through that work, you keep just optimizing your calendar. And to me, at some point, then eventually you hire somebody. Like in my world, I have 13 coaches now, but I coached that first, right? But that was one of the later things that I gave up because there was so much low-hanging fruit to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. So for people that are at a position in their business where maybe they're feeling a bit overwhelmed and maybe they don't feel like they can hire someone, what are the consequences that they need to be aware of if they continue down that road, compared to saying, looking at that kind of ATF, audit, transfer, fill type of idea, and look for someone to take time to find someone to maybe do some of that stuff?
Yeah, well, number one, we all have the budget for it. It's called your salary and your wages. Okay, so it doesn't matter what size of business are. If you're paying people a salary or wage, or contractors or freelancers, that bucket of money, I call it the buyback budget. You have a budget. How you choose to deploy that is up to you. The way I think about it is, what most businesses fail, not because of lack of opportunity, but just lack of entrepreneurs willing to push through. So typically what happens is, I call it the 3 S's, right? They're growing, things are great. And then all of a sudden it starts to get hard, where they're working that 70, 80-hour week. And it's a grind, and they think that's the way it's supposed to be. And I'm going to keep grinding, and I'm going to keep grinding, and hopefully it gets better. Unfortunately, if you don't change the way you manage your time, it won't get better. And usually you'll do one of 3 things. You'll either get an opportunity to sell the company, and that sounds like a friggin' life preserver sent to you, because this happens a lot in the fitness space. I have a lot of friends that own gyms. Usually at the 5 to 7 year mark, it's a grind, and they just have not seen the light at the end of the tunnel. And somebody comes to them and says, "Hey, I want to buy your gym," and they're willing to fire sale it just to get out of this rut, this monotony, this cycle, right? So selling is number one. The second one is stall. They know the things they could be doing to grow the business, but they decide not to. Here's what happens if you decide to stall: is your top people are going to leave. If you're not growing, your people want to grow. And if you don't give them the opportunity to do that, and somebody else comes along, even for the exact same salary, they're going to jump ship. And again, it's just this cycle of crap of just like, had a great person, they left, found a new person, they're even better, yay. Guess what? 2 years later, they leave. And it's just, you're stalling the inevitable, right? Or you're not investing in marketing. You're not investing in the right software to kind of get some automation or whatever. So you stall. The third S is sabotage. And this is the most fascinating one for me, because most people don't even realize they're doing this, but everybody has an internal thermostat that they regulate against. And as you become successful, as you get busy, as things get hard, a lot of people will actually sabotage their success, meaning that it's subtle. It's things like, I got an email from a friend that wants to promote my business and it could double my business overnight, and you decide to delay the response. It's fascinating, right? Or somebody just called you to speak at the national conference, and instead of saying yes, you give it to a friend that you think's a better fit. Interesting. Like, it's so subtle, Yuri, that I don't think people understand it, but that's what I mean by sabotage. Or even you're doing well, and all of a sudden now you decide to redesign your whole facility, or launch a completely new service, or do something dramatic to create chaos, because that's what you're used to. So like, a lot of times that's what happens. And the truth is that if you don't grow, and as you grow, buy back the time, the reality is you're never going to be able to play the game long enough. And what I've discovered, when you study the wealthiest people, right? Like, I'm talking the Oprahs, the Bransons, the Mungers, the Buffetts, all of them have figured out how to do their thing, which is the zone of genius, right? It's the 595 rule. It's like there's 5% of the work they do that they do better than anybody else. And the other 95 is they've given it to somebody else to support them. And because of that, they've never had to stop playing the game. Oprah never had to stop being Oprah. Buffett never had to stop being Buffett. Gates never, like literally all these people have been able to play the game, the infinite game of themselves, fully expressed, no constraints, full freedom to create. Okay, not from a place of lack or fear, but from a place of possibilities. And that's when you start creating incredible profit and incredible enterprise value. Essentially, your business is worth something to somebody else. Most small business owners don't realize that the big payday is building a business that can run without you. And at that point, it's valuable to somebody else. If all you've got is the cash flow, you're missing out on so, like in my world, the revenue cash flow of software is awesome, but that's not the real payday. The payday is exiting to another company for 10 times top line revenue, right? So it's not the couple $1,000,000 you make a year in profit. It's the $50 million somebody buys the business for. Every business has that potential if they're willing to look at it through that lens.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So you busted up your hand, your shoulder, and we were talking about this before we started recording. Quickly give us the rundown and how all of this talk about team and removing yourself out of the business has been like an absolute like reminder and godsend of like why that's important with this type of injury.
Yeah, so a couple Fridays ago, my buddy Mike's birthday, we decided to take him to this place, Kamloops, literally the dream downhill mountain bike jump park, best of the best, right? Like top 3 in Canada. And we got told about the secret trail. Okay, the secret trail. Even the guy, when we heard about it, somebody mentioned it. And we're like, where is this? We asked the driver of the shuttle, and he's like, I'm not telling you guys because we weren't from there. Okay, and we like had to make friends with them, and we offered him money, and eventually he's like, all right, let me draw you a picture in the dirt. And it was called the Rio Grande secret trail, not on any of the trail maps or anything. And it's a 19-kilometer downhill that was designed. I mean, it was epic. So we're halfway down. There's this jump, and the jump is kind of like a hip, and it goes right. I didn't really see that. I hit it full on and end up punching the tree in front of the jump. It went right, so I cracked my knuckle open. I have an Oura ring, like a sleep tracker. It broke because I wear it as a wedding ring. That kicked me around. I landed on my shoulder. I actually pulled, my whole shoulder is pulled. So I have a supraspinatus, 3 out of 4, they said, tear. Luckily, it didn't rip because then I need surgery. And then my AC joint. And then I rolled down a ravine. So anyways, 7 weeks before my Ironman. That's the crazy part. Wow. That I've been training for a year and a half for. So, dude, the reality is the next morning, I was in a pretty bad headspace. And, I always say to my clients, control the controllables. I couldn't control the fact that I had a broken hand, that my shoulder was all messed up, but I could control what I did that day. And I decided to get my shoes on. I could still walk, and my family and I went and did this massive hike. That kind of started the body going. And what I've discovered, because I've built this team. No, that financial means, dude, Yuri, the truth is I have the financial means to hire the best doctors. Like I don't take that for granted for 1 second of 1 minute of a day. Like there's value, like to be able to rent equipment that is very expensive to help me increase my recovery time, get access, fast track private doctors that work with, professional athletes on a Sunday to come to my house to look at the injuries, to do to fast track an MR. Like all those things are a byproduct of having the means because I built the businesses. So I want people to understand that sometimes people say it's not about the money, but I will say this: if your family member was sick and they needed a special surgery that was only provided in some part of the US and it was a paid surgery, it's about the money. Mm-hmm. And it just reminded me of how grateful I was to have the means to be able to get those services. But then on the flip side, then having a team, right? So I have an assistant, Allie. She's got an assistant. I've got a house manager. And essentially, because I had those people in place, I didn't skip a beat. There was nothing in my calendar that I decided to change. I'm still training for the Ironman. I just have to do a lot of weird rehab and movements. And honestly, I may even be stronger than had I wouldn't, because I had to get creative with my team. Like I bought this swim trainer that's a dry land trainer. It's literally outside of the pool. I can pull on it. It's this machine that they found online, and like all these weird movements I'm doing to rehab my shoulder and eventually my hand, it'll probably make those muscles a lot stronger for the race. And then the cardio wise, because I want to keep my fitness level up, I've been doing a lot more hiking, things that I can do. I've been focusing 110% on my nutrition for recovery, 110% on my sleep. I've got this PEMF machine, this Beamer machine to help increase blood flow. Like, and again, back to the team side, because the team's there, I can, and what I did is I told Allie to get her assistant more hours. I was like, hey, you need to let her know because I'm now going to need you on every one of my calls because I can't type. I literally can type with one finger, which is about a tenth of my speed. But
what a
nothing's
blessing,
gonna,
right?
100%. Like nothing's going to change in my life or my businesses because I built that team. And I just think people don't realize that it's not about you or wanting more. It's just the right decision to build the business so that it can run without you, or build the business so that you don't need to be involved in work products, so that you, if something could happen, like I've even thought, what if I lost my voice? Right? I thought, I don't know, I'm weird. I'm the kind of kid that was sitting on the bus and like thinking about being out in the woods and what if a bear attacked? Like, how would I respond? That's just how my brain works.
These are good
So
questions to ask though. Like, I think that's a great question. Like, what if this were the case? Well, like, what would have to be true in order to, keep
if you
adding
break both
value?
your hands and you can't type or you can't run, you can't do physio, or you can't do your thing, what happens? Your business revenue stops? That's dangerous.
Totally.
Like, I don't know. And to me, it's just like family. Like, man, if my kid was sick, I remember one of my sons had a challenge at school and we had to get a special therapist. It cost us $3,000 a month for this person. And I would just remember sitting in the meeting with all these like specialists thinking, what if I didn't have the means to pay for this person? Like, and there's many fathers or mothers that are in that position. Man, that was like, if that's not enough drive for people, I don't know what is, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is like something bad will happen. Hopefully you've done the work to get to a place where the impact is minimal. But then Yuri, this is fascinating for me too, because how much of it is psychology versus just pure mechanics? Like it sucks, but I also decided to make it a thing that's going to make me stronger, right?
Well,
So
that's
even
huge.
if all those things were true, there are still people that mentally would have took it as a setback.
Well, I think that's
Me and
what's
my, yeah,
remarkable about you, and I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs is like crisis. It's almost like you relish it. We relish it as an opportunity. It's like, now this shit has happened. Okay, whatever. Let's get resourceful. How can we make it better? As opposed to some people, they completely fold under a crisis. And as we finish off here, like, how do you deal with challenges? How do you, like, what is the mindset of whether it's COVID or anything like this that's happened? How do you look at these challenges or obstacles and make the most of them?
gratitude right off the bat. This happened the morning after. Dude, I'll be honest. Came home at 11:30 at night. Family was sleeping, right? I spent 4 hours in the emergency room doing all the different scans and tests. And I broke down, man. I was like emotional, just thinking like, what the, like I've been training for a year and a half for this Ironman and it's 7 weeks away. And they're telling me it's going to take me 6 weeks to 8 weeks to recover, right? Let alone not be able to train. And I just got super down. And the next morning I said, well, I don't like the way I feel. And this is how I deal with adversity. It doesn't matter if it's a business thing or a personal thing. It's one, I go to gratitude. And I sat down and made a list of all the things I'm grateful for, right? And if you're really honest with yourself and you focus on the simple things in life, it's not hard to do. Second thing is control the controllables. I can't control the fact that my hand or my shoulder is broken. I can control how I react. So what is on that list? What do I drink? The quality of the water, the nutrition. Do I move my body? Am I feeding my brain? What am I going to read? Who are the people I'm going to spend time with right now? What am I going to ask for? Am I willing to ask for help right now? Like I literally just said, I can't control all these other circumstances, but the things I can, how do I make 10 out of 10 decisions? And then the third thing is consistency. Can I operate from that headspace as often as possible? And in the last 10 days, 14 days, I've had 2 moments where it just got to me, man. Like yesterday I was at the hospital and I came out and I was just like drained. I called my assistant. I'm like, I'm not going to be good for anybody right now. I literally need 2 hours. I probably need a nap. I just need to reset. And I think that's just, people don't give themselves that grace either. I think some people are all about hustle. And I guess because I'm so sensitive of like what's normal and what's not normal, that I know when I get to a certain stage, and I teach this, the entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? When you're in a certain state of like uninformed optimism, you do certain things. When you're in the state of informed pessimism, you change your activities. And I just knew at that moment, don't get me on a call with anything important because I'm not going to do anything productive. And then I woke up this morning 110% ready to rock, called my assistant, let's get those rescheduled. Thank you so much for helping me yesterday. Boom, boom, boom. So like, I don't want anybody to watch to think that we're superhuman, because we're not. We just have a process with dealing with adversity and the years of doing the work that allows us to face those challenges as a place of opportunity and not defeat. And that's, steel sharpens steel, no pressure, no diamonds, et cetera. You name the quote. I mean, that's what I'm feeding my mind, man. That's what I need right now.
Totally. No, dude, it's so good. Best place for people to find you online?
If you're a software entrepreneur, for whatever reason you're listening to this, go to my website, /call, let's talk. So danmartell.com/call. If you are fascinated about learning some of these principles I've shared, go find me on Instagram, watch my stories. So that's where Yuri, I share behind the scenes. The how-to stuff is on YouTube if you want to learn just how to, and like I've got 400 videos there. But if you want to kind of like watch along and see kind of, because I follow a lot of people like yourself and others that just show me what excellence looks like. Dude, and your posts are freaking amazing. I don't know who does that or how you do, but like, dude, I shared the post. Yeah, I shared the post yesterday about the iceberg, and like, this is what they said, this is what they mean with my sales team. Like, you have great content, so I appreciate that. But yeah, Instagram stories is kind of the behind the scenes for me.
Awesome. And amazing podcast as well. So just type in Dan Martell on iTunes, you'll find it. Dan, so grateful to connect with you. Thank you so much for taking the time, even with the injury. You're the best, buddy. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Yuri. Talk soon.